All right. So, my name is Evan Strong, and I am the founder and the leader of In the Image Clothing Company, a company geared around the effect of clothing on the human body, especially modern clothing in 2024. Today's the 23rd of September, 2024. We are all universally designed in the image of our living God, who is Jesus Christ. So, the body has a way that it works, and we can learn about that, and it can apply to everybody within their very unique situations in specific cases. I always mention, if you've had a surgery or if you have a deformity, something unique to you, that's your own personal situation, and that's okay. But even within that, you work around what you've already been working around, knowing your situation. And we are universally designed. I talk about the skeletal system of the human body. So I have a few prerequisites that I always show, that I always state, that I always talk about, just to allow the body to have a chance to even function normally. Okay? So, lacing your shoes with my technique, placed within where my content here is 77 videos actually after this one, is where we're at currently. So, that lacing technique just allows the shoe that you wear, to the best of that design's ability, to fit on your foot as a glove does on the hand, to allow the function that's going to naturally be in the foot to be in the foot. Okay? Within that technique, what's included is to tie your shoes evenly, the outside over toward the inside on both sides, right? Reinforce that natural internal rotation, traveling up the entire body, and pairing those lacing instructions there with removing the tags from everything starting at the tongues of your shoes or anywhere within them up through the entirety of all the clothing that you ever place onto your body. And I've gone into very great depth on every tag in every location, what it actually does, undisputed truth to the natural functioning workings of the universally designed human body. So in this video, I'm actually going to talk about something that's not clothing, but being in the Image Clothing Company, as I've talked about, as I've shared, as now we have our official company, In the Image Clothing Company, I've mentioned how we're so much more than just a clothing company. Yes, we are going to be selling minimal clothing made out of 100% natural materials, with pants sitting above the hips, very slightly higher in the front than the rear, shoulder seams sitting behind the shoulders on the top and right at the edges, just to allow the body to work, things that I have shown and discussed, and that all that will be incorporated within my designs, my deep understanding of the relationship between clothing and the human body, and how those two don't really mesh with a lot of modern designs, because the body only works the way that it works, and we can't tell it what to do. Okay? I make bold claims like that, how we shouldn't have to stretch. I don't. We shouldn't be exercising and work out to work up to something, because within our own situations, the body is designed to work, okay? And it does it very well until it's restricted. So, this shirt's actually a little bit longer than I'd normally wear. It's important to mention for this video, because the video I filmed right before this was about why shirts should be waisted. So you can go check that video out too if you'd like to. But, the whole intent behind In the Image Clothing Company as a community, being more than just a clothing company, our goal is just to allow the body to work in our own situations to the best of our own body's ability, without being restricted and without being altered from the way that it would naturally do things. So, a big thing is, especially here in the United States of America, there's a lawnmower, but it's all right. I'm just mentioning it might be a little bit harder to hear me at certain points in here, but especially here in the United States of America, and mostly I can just speak for here because that's where I live currently, there's a lot of people just drinking so much water all the time. And I actually, last year, a year and a half ago to like a year ago, within that time period, when I was starting to figure out the natural workings of the human body, when I started lacing and tying my shoes differently to try to find and settle on my technique to just allow, again, all it does is allow the foot to be natural within the shoe. There was a lot that I was trying and learning about my own body, and I was drinking at certain times within there 2 to 3 gallons of water a day. That's a lot, and that's too much for almost every situation that anyone could even ever come across. That's a lot of water to go into your body in a day. A gallon, like a milk jug, right? At least in some parts of the world, they don't use gallon measurements very commonly, but a gallon, 2 to 3 of those in a day I would be drinking within like last year to a year and a half ago. Trying to figure out what my body needed, trying to figure out what I was lacking, because my body never quite felt in those times like it was working correct. And it didn't need that much water, okay? I don't know if there's anybody who needs that much water every day, besides, again, if there's a very specific situation going on or specific person or whatever, but it's very common, again, at least here in the United States of America, for people to just always have a water bottle with them. And I was one of those people. I actually have, I think you can see it, the cap right here, a thing of, it's actually milk mixed with some powder stuff. Kind of like chocolatey, you know, like a breakfast drink type thing. But it's not water. And what I don't want to do is say how much water somebody should or shouldn't drink, because I don't want to be giving advice on that kind of thing. And each person is going to be individual within that on what their body would require to a degree. But what I will say is, I've discussed before, because again, In The Image Clothing Company is so much more than just a clothing company. We're not just selling clothing. We will be, but it's about the body. It's about letting the body do what the body does. So I've talked about diet before, and I didn't really necessarily say what to eat, other than I am vegetarian, and I don't ever try to give opinions, but I feel like I should be saying that vegetarianism is probably the best for the human body. And that's not something I would normally say, but I feel led to say that. So I've talked about how to eat though. That's what the goal of making that video when I started talking about vegetarianism at all is showing how to eat. Not out of an opinion, but out of the way that the body works. And when it comes to drinking water, again, when I'm saying this, I'm not trying to tell people what they should or shouldn't do in this specific case here, but I will give my own experience. I just about don't drink water, at least as of current, okay? And the past quite a few months, because there's a lot of water within things, within fruits, within vegetables, within any kind of drink. I mean, even milk. Water is like the basis of what makes something liquid. You know, I mean, for the most part, you can get a little technical with that and stuff, but really what the body needs is hydration. It doesn't really need water, plain, by itself, necessarily. So, what happens a lot of time, and what I was experiencing in that time period I was talking about, is we will actually be drinking so much water that it will affect our body's natural ability to regulate electrolytes in its system. Okay, and that's something we don't want to do. As I talk about, that's the whole thing within the Image Clothing Company, is just allowing the body to do its natural thing with the least restriction that we can do to it, right? So we only need the amount of water we need to stay hydrated. And what we really would benefit from is learning our bodies. This guy's gonna start mowing right here, so it's going to get louder. I'm just about through this, just about. The big thing is, I always talk about the center line that a human being has. It's not a belief. We live on a vertical globe pulling us toward its center, and we have to stand up or gravity would pull us this way or this way, and we'd either fall over or be using muscles in ways that are not designed to try to stay vertical. So the big thing is learning our own bodies, getting back to our natural center line, and from there being able to understand the reactions our bodies are having to the materials we're wearing, to how much food we're eating, how much water we're drinking, or just anything to stay hydrated, and what types of those things our specific body is kind of asking us for, if you will. So the point being, again, I'm not saying people shouldn't drink water plain, but really there's not much benefit from water. It's H2O, it's hydrogen and oxygen. There's not much in there that's doing anything for your body. All it's doing is replenishing liquid, right? Our blood needs to be able to pump through the body and flow. Really, what drinking plain water does is kind of just lubricate the body, right? Right meaning that's right, and we don't really think about it. There's about nothing in water, right? We don't really get, I mean, there's not nutrients, and a lot of times too, the water we're drinking is either filtered to where anything that could have been in there that could have benefited us has been filtered out, or there's additives to kind of, you know, the intent usually is to make it more sterilized. So I'm kind of in this in between where I don't want to be telling people they shouldn't drink water, but I also can tell the truth of what I just said about what water is actually doing, because it doesn't, the body doesn't like take things from water. It just uses water in the ways it needs it, right? When you eat things or when you drink drinks that have things within them the body can extract, then the body's actually extracting nutrients and usable things from those things. And that doesn't actually happen in just plain water. So he's starting to mow this baseball field. That's fine. And it's also, I mean, I've also said pretty much everything I need to say about water. Don't like limit yourself from liquids after me saying that water is what it just is, right? The truth of what's going on when we drink plain water. But at the same time, like I said, I just about never drink plain water. And so I need that to be heard correct, because I'm not trying to tell people to go stop staying hydrated, but water alone doesn't actually have anything in it necessarily that hydrates you. It can just keep your body working the way that your body works, as long as you have the right amount of, it doesn't even have to be water, plain, but just right within your system. So yeah, that's got to be heard correct, but I do feel like it's important to mention, because a lot of times you'll actually feel more dehydrated after drinking water, because really if you just have an excess amount of liquid within your system, it will just actually flush out things that are benefiting you that are in your system. So yes, you know, milk, juices like natural fruit juices, or even like I said, just actual food that has quite a bit of liquid in it, water within it, right? And that's why eating natural whole foods, that's another reason that's beneficial, other than it just being natural and the body's natural, but it has a lot of water content in it. And then you won't need to like try to supplement it with just plain water that doesn't need to happen. Okay, so anyway, again, my name is Evan Strong. I am the leader and the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. Much more than just a clothing company. We're gonna have a community as big as we can get it, as broad as we can get it, to share and spread the information of what clothing and the body, the correlation between those two things, and how a lot of times they're not really meshing, and that's really where our problems are coming from. Truthfully, the only thing that's ever placed physically on us at all times is our clothing. So when our body is physically having problems, it's almost always, seriously, the clothing. So thank you. Check out the videos I already have. Stick around for clothing from In The Image Clothing Company that will be available to purchase. Minimal clothing, 100% natural materials, 0 logos or branding on the exterior of it. It'll sit where it should. right? Just to allow the body to hinge and pivot. So stick around if you'd like to. And there's what's going on with water. Trying to keep all my opinions out of it, but also speaking on what's really happening as well, to kind of give a little bit of understanding, because I didn't have it back when I was drinking so much water, as I said. So my body operates so much better now. I don't feel dehydrated like ever, just about, right? Just about ever. And I don't sweat all the time. I have energy, my body works. It's very apparent if you've seen any of my content. So yeah, that's what I'll say on water as of now. Yes, check out In The Image Clothing Company and try not to drink an excess amount of water. Maybe not even plain water at all, because there's almost nothing in it that your body's actually benefiting from. Again, that's just the truth. So, thank you.